welcome to my July manga reading vlog. This one is a smidgen overdue and I haven't actually yet filmed my June reading vlog. The last couple of months have been a lot. I do still intend to film it and it will go up. There's a chance it might stay members only because my schedule is now like moved on. But I will film it and I have still got them like left out ready to film and talk about, but yeah, that might end up being a members one. So today I'm going to talk about all the manga that I read throughout the month of July. Now it was Isekai month and I was vaguely trying to read a bunch of Isekai. I was trying to pick some random series off my shelves that I've not read the volume 1 of and then like just see what I thought of them. I didn't do anywhere near as good as I hoped to just because I got super busy. But that is fine, I will try and tackle it down further in the coming months when hopefully I'll be a little less busy. Yeah, pretty much everything everywhere in my life just got incredibly hectic for July, and to be fair, most of August. We're approaching the end of August and it's only starting to slightly slow down, and reading has been like my one solace, like calming, nice little break from everything. If you're interested in more up-to-date reviews of what I have read, do go check out my story graph. I have an account on there and I do put starred ratings on everything I read. Sometimes I write reviews if I have like really something I'm interested in saying, or say if I've been gifted a copy from say Yen Press, I do try. Sometimes I forget or I've been too busy, but that's what I'm like trying to do a bit more of. Don't think I'm very good at my writing basically. Anywho, let's dive in. I'm really yappy, so these tend to go on for quite a while, which is one of the reasons I tend to put off recording them. But let's just start. So I do like alternate how I like to talk about the series that I've read. Like I've done just in the order that I've read them in. I've done like tried to theme them, and I think for this one I've tried to theme it a little bit. So the first tranche of stuff I'm going to talk about is stuff that I was gifted from Yen Press during the month of July, or that I read during the month of July. Actually, I think they were both gifted and I read them during July. So we've got all of these. This isn't all the stuff they gifted me. They're incredibly generous and kind, and they did give me more, but I didn't read all of them. I didn't read some of the ones where it was like a spin-off of another series, like they sent me a Konosuba spin-off, and I don't think I've read enough of the main series or the spin-off to read that, so I've held off on that. But you'll see everything in an upcoming haul video, which I am also going to try and film in the next couple of days, which is all like the misc stuff I've picked up around the unboxings over the last few months. So first we have Neighborhood Craftsmen Volume 1. This, I didn't really know anything about it except that lots of people seemed quite excited for it. It is a hardcover, so I'm very grateful they sent it because it's a bit more pricey. However, I was completely surprised at how much I like this. This was so peaceful, therapeutic, calming to read. The general premise is that we follow different types of crafters from the city of Edo. I can't remember if they say like exact year, but that kind of sets some time period in mind at least. And in each chapter we're following a different type of craftsman and how they would complete their craft basically. So we've got the chapters there, and most of them are one-offs apart from the plasterer, which is 3 chapters at the end, and that's a bit more of a longer story. They're not incredibly involved like story-wise because they don't have that long, but it is really, I've just skipped over the whole chapter. Seeing how they were crafting stuff, and now I don't know how accurate this is. I'm going to benefit the doubt that it's super duper accurate, but it was incredibly interesting to see. I really enjoyed the indigo dyer chapter, talking about how they dye fabrics and stuff, and also the tatami mat chapter. There was a lot of pages and panels where we didn't really get much talking, and I think that's completely fine because the focus isn't necessarily on what the characters are saying. The focus is on their crafting and their abilities and their skills. It does look like there is only one volume currently, so I don't know when the next one's going to come. It looks like there's only one in Japan as well, which is unfortunate because I really liked it. It's a bit more pricey, so do keep that in mind, but I definitely recommend. Really lovely. Misanthrope teaches a class for Demi-Humans. Mr. Hitoma, Won't You Teach Us About Humans, Volume 1. It was very average for me. This was fine. It is about a human guy who really hates human beings and applies for a teacher job, and it turns out the teacher job is to teach Demi-Humans. And these Demi-Humans are trying to become human enough to live in the human world. So they all have like animal or creature forms, and when they're in this in the school area, they're able to maintain this human form, but they're basically learning to be able to maintain this form outside of the school area. But it was fine. It definitely feels like a series of let's have an excuse to have cute anthropomorphic girls with a human guy. Some bits of it were quite sweet, some bits with the students, the girls, like talking about like their emotions and their feelings and all that jazz, but I feel like I enjoyed the moments between just the girls over the teacher. The teacher goes, just go away. I think I'd have enjoyed it more at that point. Guillotine Bride, Volume 1. Like, so my understanding is there is a light novel for this, I think, unless I've mixed it up with something else. But the manga is only 2 volumes long, and all the plot that they're trying to set up in Volume 1, it can't be feasibly wrapped in just 2 volumes, which screams to me it was probably cancelled. Or, as seems to be often the case, it's like, oh, here's a light novel series, let's just do a couple volumes to like promote the light novel series or something. But yeah, there are these like souls of different creatures, and they inhabiting people, and these people sort of take on these creature abilities, but there's like stages where they become more and more like the creature, and then ultimately they like cause a big like catastrophe or something, and then the person dies, and then the soul moves on to the next person. So there's a whole thing about trying to track down the people with these souls and keep them in containment and like under control. One way to stop the catastrophe happening is making use of a guillotine on the person before it goes wrong, which is kind of where the name comes from. This girl here is, I think, got the dragon soul, and she was meant to go and get guillotined, and then this guy comes in and she's like, oh, if we get married it'll stop it, and he's like, yeah, sure, okay, because of course. At the start of the volume is like really like fun action scenes. I did quite like the fights and the action scenes between some of the characters, and then the second half was like this weird like school comedy thing, and it got quite like raunchy. It's like, this is like borderline not needing to be plastic wrapped. Hello, Mika. But yeah, it's gonna be completed too as well. So I'll get the second to see how it wraps, but I probably wouldn't recommend this one either. Double the Trouble, Twice as Nice, Volume 1. I have such mixed feelings on this one because I kinda liked it, but it also has questionable moments in it. I always forget at the start of these videos to say I am going to fill this with spoilers. Every volume I'm going to talk about will be spoilery, so I'll put timestamps in, so do jump along if you don't want spoilers for volumes that I have read. But I will also push you towards Storygraph to go look at trigger warnings if I think there are trigger warnings, and I want you to go and look at for yourself to determine. Anywho, I kind of like the story. There's this guy who seems to be able to flitter between like a 10-year-old physical form and a 18-year-old physical form. I can't remember how old he is, late teens, I think. And he ends up living with this woman, basically, who is like struggling. Was she? I think she's, yeah, I think the story starts with her getting dumped by a guy. She thought like, oh, we're gonna get married. She gets dumped, so she's really down. And she ends up finding this kid really sad, and she can't like get him to a police station or whatever for reasons. So she like, right, stay here for the night, we'll go find your parents in the morning. She wakes up and he is like grown, he's an adult now, or a teen. Yeah, and then like, I did quite like it. I think my main issue is, FYI, it is a romance, I think. I think my main issue is they do have like relationship development when he's in the child form, which is really weird, I think, looking back, like going on a date. Yeah, so I don't know. Okay, I did like it, but just keep that in mind if you're on the fence about it. I liked it, but some bits were strange. Almark Volume 1, I really quite like this one. It is a kind of grittier, darker fantasy series about this kid who he's grown up on the like northern plains where everyone's always at war and everyone's savages, just like the north of England, like all of us up here. And it seems that he is showing an aptitude in magic, and happenstance I think the headmaster or head teacher of a big prestigious magic school happens, is traveling and is saved by his group, and he notices the kid and it's like, oh yeah, you should come to my school in a few years when you're older. But because of war and everything, the kid ends up taking longer than a few years to start to head down to the school, and in that time he is joining in the wars. He's becoming are they barbarians? Is that what they're called? Mercenaries. Mercenaries. He's becoming more mercenary. He's fighting in the fights and all that. So he heads off a few years later than originally intended, and then starts to make his way to the school. And volume 1 ends with he's gotten to the school, he's starting to get ready, he's starting to attend classes, and I am a major sucker for especially like Magic Academia series, and I don't really mind the trope. The trope in this one seems to be he's big buff, very strong mercenary, and he's attending a few years later than everyone else. And I'm fine with that. I'm quite liking this. There is also a light novel I believe they've released at the same time, so if you're not manga inclined, you're more light novel inclined, you can give a different way a go. Little Miss Vampire can't suck right. It's fine. I think in the same vein as like Misanthrope teachers at schools, that I just don't think I could really get into it. It reminds me of other series, kind of like Kubo Won't Let Me Be Invisible, The Girl I Like Forgot Glasses, where it's kind of like a middle school cute-ish romance. This one is the girl is a vampire but is really shit at it and is not good at drawing blood, and this guy is like, he can practice on me. I don't think it's meant to be weird. He's meant to be helpful, but like I think it's hard to not make it look weird. But maybe that's just me seeing things that aren't there. But it's fine, but I think the other 2 series I listed, if you're looking for like a cute middle school romance, I've enjoyed more. This is a bit more episodic comedy compared to those, and it just didn't hit for me as much. Monster Tribe Volume 1. This, in principle, I should have really enjoyed it, but I think I struggled I think it was going too fast. The story was going too fast at the start for me. So in this story, it is about a group of people who try to hunt down monsters to protect a human world. And I think they're monsters themselves, actually. So the main character is half human from a family full of monsters. A portal is torn open between the monster world and their own, and the guy and his brothers are pressed to hunt down the invaders. Now, the relationship between this main guy here and his brothers, I think it presents itself too quickly, especially in chapter 1, where they're like rushing like emotional sadness and bonding between the characters, and I'd have really rather they dragged it out a bit further, even if they just dragged it out through volume 1. But it was quite a lot in chapter 1, and at that point I'm like, I don't know who these characters are, I don't care at this point. The like really nice emotional bits, if it had been like further in and I was more familiar with the characters, it'd have meant more to me. Also, some of the designs, and I think this again is just me being fussy, especially when they're fighting, I really struggled to follow what was happening. I couldn't tell, like in this panel here, I know he's hitting it something, but I couldn't figure out like what was happening here. I couldn't quite tell, and that like annoys me more than anything. And I think what doesn't help is some of the creatures that they're hunting down are like kind of weird, unconventional shapes. It's not always necessarily a given, like, oh, this bit's the head, or this bit's an arm, or a leg, or whatever. So it just kind of made it a bit harder to follow. I didn't hate it. I'm not even sure if I'm indifferent to it. I just don't think I've actually formed a proper opinion yet, because it is in premise and in theory the sort of thing I would enjoy. The last one we have from Yen Press is Suzuki-Kun's Mindful Life, and I love this one. I love this one so much. I love stories about people just being kind to each other and being nice to each other. And in this one, it is about a character called Suzuki-Kun, Suzuki, and he is very big, very gruff, looks very scary, quite intimidating when you meet him for the first time and don't know him, but he is a very kind, thoughtful person who loves doing cooking, baking, gardening, that kind of thing. And he's had bad experiences in the past where people have bullied him for his interests and the sort of mannerism he has. And now he's gone to high school and people aren't like that to him. People are nice to him. And he doesn't really quite understand at first. He understands, he gets better further through. But yeah, it reminds me a bit of like Skip and Loafer in that like personality that might not necessarily go down well for being right. But that doesn't matter, you are you. People are nice to you and it doesn't matter. Just be, yeah, friendly, lovely. Can't wait for more. A lot. Okay, the next tranche of series we're going to do is the steamship that I read in July. I was really gunning to try and get back to 100%. Unfortunately, I've held some more in August, but that's fine. I'm reading it in August, so you'll see them in that video. Viewpoint Fingertips 7 and 8. I personally, I am fond of the series because it was the first ever steamship, and it kind of showed me that we can have some nice smut with some romance and some form of plot. However, I do feel like for me personally, it is getting a bit long. Like it's incredibly mindless. They're like ambling about, they're looking for an apartment, they're having trouble picking out the apartment because they can't agree on what they want. Do they want parking? Do they want it close to a station? Do they want a kitchen space to fit their rice cooker? And then they argue and they get sad and then they make up and then they bone. And then it's kind of like, that's the sort of story in it. And like, I'm not against it, but I think volume 9 has come out as well. I don't think it's ended. I think there's still more volumes in Japan as well. And if you're fine with that, that's cool. But I just don't think I'm rushing to pick this series up anymore. But it's steamship and incredibly mixed mind. Which one is it? Was it this one? Volume 8 had a one-shot chapter between a villainess and a dragon who gains a human form, and I really liked that. I was like, can I have a series of that one shot, please? That was good. So this was good for that one shot at the end. I like that. And it wasn't like a short one shot. How many pages can I show? Okay, it was a bit short. It was just that. I still enjoyed it. Loving Moondog Volume 2. It's probably just not one of my favorites. It doesn't really hit for me. It's really nice seeing all the doggies and the cute doggies and like talking about grooming them and all that jazz is really interesting. It isn't a plastic wrap one. Nothing really goes that far. And I'm not crazy on the artwork, so definitely not up there. It's fine. I think it's very fine. I don't hate this one like I do a bit more of some of the others, but it's fine. Villainous and the Demon Knight Volume 4. I was worried for a moment this is the final volume because look how chunky that volume is. I don't think it is though. I mean, the light novel is on at least 3 volumes. I'm not sure if there's any more in Japan, but there are 3 in English. So we probably do still have like a decent amount of content still go. I am quite fond of this one. I think similarly, just like, I've completely forgotten what I was going to say because I couldn't say the damn word. I would like some more drama to happen, basically. I think this one was like quite nice. And we were starting to get like the beginnings of some drama with the other prince, and I hope that like spins into more. I also like that the obsession is becoming more apparent, that it is two-directional. Do love a good, terrible, obsessive relationship. At Your Service in Another World Volume 2, and this completes it. It is complete at 2 volumes, and I'm quite devastated because it's one of the first steamships I've really enjoyed in a while. It is an isekai, but I think what I really quite liked is something I struggle with is when the women get pretty weepy. She doesn't get weepy, and there is like a bit more discussion of like communication between the characters-ish, kinda. I know what I mean. I get why it's complete at 2 volumes, but no, actually no. I wish we had like another volume. I think a volume 3 or maybe a volume 4 as well to just explore some of the life after now they've gotten together, because like she'd been helping him in ways and he didn't know it was her, and he now learned that it's her in volume 2 and they've gotten together, and that's pretty much how it's ended. And I'm like, no, give us more after they're together, exploring that with what she does for the kingdom and him as a knight. Oh, adored by an elite officer. Could this be love? Volume 1. So this woman loses her job, and then her boyfriend is like, well, I'm not going to date you if you don't have a job. So she gets dumped, she gets sad, she goes and ambles off, and then runs into this officer guy turns out was like her childhood friend, and he's like, oh, we should get married, and she's like, oh, okay, and then they do. Yeah. Must say, I don't think the story is too amazing, but the smut was actually quite interesting to read. It felt different. I don't know how to describe it to some of the other steamships that I've read without getting too specific in just a YouTube video. But yeah, I can talk more in the Dudet Discord server if you join there, some of the not safe for work channels. Sweet Heat Before Falling in Love, the CEO and his fated Omega. I have been rather enjoying my Omega steamship titles, so I was quite excited to see we had another one. Now with this one, the alpha has like started this like hotel place for Alpha and Omegas to meet, sort themselves out when needed, and then could part ways. And it's fully anonymous, you don't really know who's who. This Omega lady turns up struggling and gets paired with this random guy, and it does turn out it is her CEO, because yeah. Neither of them work out or realize that for a while, but we do by the end of the volume, and it's not like an outstanding series or trope, but it is one that I am quite fond of and I quite like, so I am pleased with this one, and if you like that trope, I would still recommend it. Loved by Two Fiances Volume 3, and this is the final volume. This is complete 3 volumes. I'm not a fan, I'm sorry. I think it was almost an interesting premise having the two fiancés be two people, I've forgotten the word, two personalities in the same body, and the whole discussion around trauma responses in volume 2, which is what started it when the guy was a kid, was something I was not expecting to read in a steamship title. But I'm not sure how I feel about the story ending with like there being kids and the kids like they're like saying the kids have 2 dads. I don't know. I also don't feel like I'm qualified enough to give enough of a worthwhile opinion. Former Villainess wants to escape from the Sadistic Prince, Volume 2. As the title says, it is quite, yeah, this poor woman. He really does like put her through the ringer in a sexual way, and I wouldn't rush to recommend this one at all because of that. It can be a lot. And again, she just looks sad all the time, and it just, yeah, I don't want her to look sad. I want them to like vaguely be like, ooh, yay. I can't hold them too easily because they're heavy. But next we have Ice Press Volume. Not So Wicked Stepmon Volume 6. This is so cute. It is so nice to read a really like pleasant series that isn't just talking about romantic love, but familial love as well. I can't say any words today, can I? Family love. And seeing the relationships between the villainess, the queen, the daughter, the king, and also the weird kid in the mirror is just super cute. And seeing some of the awkward interactions, oh, I am so fond of the king. He is so cute and lovely, and he is trying so hard in like an awkward, terrible, doesn't know what he's doing kind of way. I really do recommend this series if you are just looking for cute and lovely. It takes a little bit, and there are things thrown in the way to try and not make it as easygoing. There's drama, but it is still lovely. Oh. My Secretly Hot Husband Volume 3. This was kind of an interesting volume, as they like spend a good chunk of it trying to like trick a demon out of all their assets and money. And it's kind of funny watching them do it, this like 4D chess kind of move going on, and then they get dragged to demon court and demons find it hilarious that human like stole this money from demons. Unless I've missed the plot. I think I got confused like what was happening and why it was happening, but I think it was just to try and help better their people, their country, and move to a bigger palace potentially. I think I'm enjoying it, but I don't think I'm fully following everything as I'm reading it, which is fine. Maybe I just need to reread it or read slower. Kill the Villainess Volume 2. Also really enjoying this one. This one had some really nice like revenge plot moments, because she knows everything that's gonna happen, and she can like try and rebuff and make her be the one that comes out on top. I am feeling a little bad for the heroine. Like, she's evidently just trying her best, and like previously the Villainess character has treated her terribly, and no one else knows that it is a different character now within the body, obviously. The prince is terrible. The princes are always terrible. I'd honestly just look forward to more. I'd love to see what is going to happen between the Villainess and the heroine, and also the prince, put him in his place. Men of the Harem Volume 3. There is kind of like two slight plots going on at the same time. We've got the trying to figure out who did all these like scary murder plots, or tried to, and also the whole like inner workings of the harem and trying to balance seeing and spending time with them to not make others sad. There isn't really much more going on beyond that, and I don't know if I'm starting to lose interest. It's fine. I think I enjoy, like, I think I want to see more drama with the harem, and yeah, I don't know. What do I want to see more of? I'm not really opposed to there not really being much in terms of like romance. It's not the most like romantic series. It's more like political relationships. Which bit have I enjoyed more? I'm not sure. Have I enjoyed the murder plot more actually than the harem? Maybe. Solo Leveling 12. And from my understanding, we don't have many volumes left before this is complete. Now, this volume gave us so much backstory, and I like vaguely now understand what's going on-ish. There is a lot, like we get a lot of backstory. I was gonna say, can you see that black stripe? That's the backstory, and that's the lore. Understanding what's happening, what's going on, what are monarchs, what's the other side, the dungeons, abilities, all of that, hunters, what does it all mean, what's happening? And it was just like, oh my gosh, information overload, we've gotten more, we know what's going on, and then some really sad moments, like the character on the front is the dad. That was a really sad bit. I'm kind of looking forward to it ending just to see how does it end. I know there's a spin-off, but I'm not thinking or talking about the spin-off, but I'm looking forward to seeing how this ends, and we seem close. Finding Camellia Volume 4. Woohoo! This was a fun volume. We had lots of like romantic drama between characters that are like, they want to marry Camellia/Camelius, and some that still don't know that Camelius is Camellia, but they still like have feelings, and they're confused and not sure. And then there's all this like, it was just really, really good. And then at the end of the volume, one of the male characters who is infatuated potentially has discovered the truth now. So I'm really looking forward to Volume 5 to see how that plays out and how they react with the characters. Are we gonna like, is it all gonna come clean? What's happened with the family and all that? Oh, I can't wait. When is 5 out? I Tamed My Ex-Husband's Mad Dog, Volume 3. Most of this volume was set in the palace where initially the female lead had to escape from, having stabbed and injured the crown prince. But because of her and her mad dog, they've kind of claimed a lot of land through the war, and they've now turned up to the palace to be like acknowledged for all of that. I am nervous about bits that happen towards the end of the volume with the character that is now engaged to the crown prince. So, the way that the mad dog guy is talking to her, I'm like, no, I hope things don't happen. I hope this doesn't get really messy. I think it might. I hope it doesn't though. I'd like it to just stay messy between these two characters. Omniscient Reader's Viewpoint, Volume 7. I do still think this reads much better reading a bunch of volumes in one go, but we were starting to, I think we've got like the conclusion of the King's arc, the games, where obviously our main lead guy has come out on top, and then made the big decision instead to destroy the throne instead of making use of it, and he's like making deals with all sorts of constellations, and it was just some really neat, like, there was both like, so I've forgotten the word again, I'm so bad with my words, like conversational intrigue where there's been a lot of like discussion, and then also like some really nice fight scenes. So I really like a nice mix of both, especially when you get both in the same volume. I feel like I've been spoiled. I think there was a live action of this that came out as well, though I think it's just a movie as well. I wonder how it's going to complete I'll do it in a movie. I'm not sure if I want to watch it, to be honest. But also, will it spoil a story that I've not read? If it does, I won't watch it. Perks of Being an S-Class Heroine is one of my favourite manhwa series. This and Villains Destined to Die are like my top. And in this one, we have had the main character age up. We've done some time skipping. You can see here, she is now vaguely adult-like as opposed to being a child like she was in the first 3 volumes. And mostly it's her, she's been like skilling up, leveling up. The creators of this world had built her like a training ground tower with levels in it, and she's been going up the tower, getting stronger, training. And we're kind of just biding our time, I believe, until she's able to go and see the main character of the novel she's been isekai'd into once again. They met as children in volume 2 or volume 3 in a dungeon, and they're like it's kind of like hinting that she will see him again, but she's just waiting to be stronger or waiting to a point in the novel's timeline. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it so much. And 6, I think, is out soon as well, if not already. So I can't wait to do my next order. Dark Moon, volume 7, and it was the final volume in the series. And I think oh no, wait, I haven't read, I was going to say the final volume I need to read from all of the K-pop band series, but I've not read volume 7 of Seven Fates yet. Damn. I do think this is still my favourite of the 3, the 3 being Dark Moon, Seven Fates, and Star Seekers. I don't think any of them are like incredibly outstanding. This one, I did get a bit annoyed with it towards the end. Like most of it is just like final fight, action, everyone looks super cool while doing it. There are some really cool moments and scenes and panels. It's very pretty. But like, because we had so many characters as part of the bands, we kept getting panels like this where they were just showing them all. I'm not sure if the werewolves are meant to be another band. I'm incredibly clueless to this kind of thing, so apologies. But it just, when you have so many main characters that you're trying to show all the time, it just kind of takes away, I think, from the story. I really liked the fun bit at the end when they gone back to school and everything was a bit more normal. And then I think the last thing that made me a bit sad was because there are 7 people in this group, we don't have a cover with the female lead on at all. We just have the same one, which I understand, but I'm still sad about it. But also, they do kind of leave it open towards the end for the possibility of a sequel. Some weirdness happens on the last couple of pages, so I've no idea if there is a sequel, if there's planned to be a sequel, but they've not like wrapped it. They left something open and weird at the end. Okay, so there were like the 2 big piles of something themed. Can you see the cat behind me? Oh, she's snoozing, she's dozing. So now we're just gonna jump into everything else, pretty much. There is a bunch of isekai in here still, but it's not organized in any particular way. Isekai Samurai, and I think this is actually the last volume I read in July. I nearly said June. I'm mixing up my J's. This surprised me at how much I liked it. So this is, as you might be able to tell from the title, an isekai. It's an isekai with a female lead, and it's not a romance or villainess. I am really struggling to think of how many other series I've read that are isekai, female lead, not a villainess or a romance. In this story, our character here was or is a samurai, and as far as they believe, the greatest thing a samurai can do is die, especially on the battlefield during a fight. It is the most honorable way to go. And they go into a massive fight with all of their like kin or whatever, expecting to die. Unfortunately, all that happens is they get knocked out, and when they come to, the battle is over, everyone is dead. And they're like, well, shit. I've not gone, I need to go and find an opponent who is worthy enough to take me down. And they start ambling around trying to find someone. I can't remember exactly how it happens, but they accidentally get isekai'd into a fantasy world. Oh, that's it. They go to see a Buddha, a temple. They go to a temple, there is a Buddha statue, and they pray, saying, I wish to die locked in fierce combat. I don't need forgiveness. I just want more opponents. If I am a demon, then send me to a hell where man-eating fiends run rampant. And the Buddha says, very well. And then it goes dark, and they wake up in the middle of this fight in this town, and there are dragons and orcs and ogres and stuff. And they're like, yeah, they're like, huh, what is this? And then they start ambling around being like, what is this place? Where am I? And it turns out there's more magic and stuff like that. But they are still incredibly strong, and they end up kind of helping in this fantasy land beat up some of the really bad enemies while trying to still find a fierce foe worthy of being their final foe. It wasn't outstanding, but it was still fun and jolly and good to read. And it's just, I get a lot of people who are looking for isekai reads that don't have a bland male generic protagonist who builds a harem of booby women. And it is really nice to happen upon one where you can quite confidently go, here, give this a go. Now I'm only 1 volume in. I think there is only 1 volume out, or 2 is out soon if it isn't already. So maybe it gets better, maybe it gets worse, maybe it does introduce romance, but so far in just the volume 1, yeah. Heroic Tale of the Villainous Prince, volume 1. This was cute. It isn't an isekai, it's not back in time, I think. It is about a prince who has a villainous reputation because I think of his hair colour. Yeah, his hair colour and his eyes. He's just called the Cursed Prince. And he's looked down upon in the kingdom, basically. And the start of the volume is the Crown Prince, not this guy, breaking off his engagement to this character here. He decides to swoop in and help her. Not like literally, well slightly, but more like he turns it into a scene, so any gossip that gets spread is spread about him being a bad person, not her being shunned. And then also they end up being engaged later on because the king sets it up. Because the king seems like a pretty chill guy and loves his son, and the son's like, I'm cursed, and the king's like, you stop that. But yeah, it's the villainous prince is trying to like save this female character from like emotional gossip and stuff like that, but it turns out he might actually be sweet on her and have been in love with her for quite a long time, so he isn't like outright opposed to this engagement, he's quite happy about it, but he doesn't want to be. He feels like it would like bring her down, and he's like, no, we shouldn't do this. No, I shouldn't do this. And but like, no, it's cool, we'll do it. Quite cute, silly romance fantasy with like a quite innocent, nice female lead and a misunderstood male lead. Reminds me a little bit of like giving a noble disgraced lady a lesson in naughtiness. Very similar vibes to me, I feel. BL Game Rebirth, my new life as the hero's younger brother. So the plot in this is a character has been isekai'd into a BL otome game as the younger brother of the main character. Now at this point in the story, the main character has already made his decision. There is already like a path that he is following. He's following the route of, I think, the childhood friend. And the kind of plot of the story is, first off, the younger brother's really excited to see a pairing of one of their favourite pairs up close, but also the shunned other leads that were in love with the main lead, have started to turn towards the younger brother, which is a bit questionable when you think about it. Like, oh no, I can't get that brother, I'll just go for the other one. And they kind of like build it up, and like, it's not instant. It's like spending time with the younger brother, they become more fond of him, but still that's what happens. And also one of them is the janitor, who is like a much older character. It was actually, I kind of agree with this, it was an interesting twist on BL, romance, otome game kind of story. But I'm not sure if I didn't love it. I think I liked it. I didn't hate it. I'm trying to figure out where in the scale am I. I think I want to see how it goes. How does it work? So this character isn't interested in romance. As far as they're concerned, it is to be observed, not partaken in. So they are mostly trying to rebuff and pat away the advances, but like not very well. We'll see. I'll Become the Villainess. That goes down in history. It seems turning into a highborn baddie makes the prince all the more love-struck. Volume 2. This was quite a thin volume, I must say. How many pages is it? Like 140. 140 pages is not much. I do like it. I like that she's not like majorly a villainous character, and that she's kind of been put up to putting down the heroine a little bit because she needs to not be surrounded by yes men. She needs to be able to like perceive not everything she does is perfect and all that, and I kind of like that. It does get aggravating reading the stories with the heroine and all the characters around her are like, you're amazing, you're beautiful, aren't you smashing? No. So I do kind of like when the villainess is there, and they not necessarily like put down in just a mean way, but they put down in a here are all these points you didn't think of kind of way, which is kind of what's happening in this one. So it's a pain because I am enjoying it, but it's kind of slow releasing and really thin volumes, so I don't know if there's a light novel. There probably is with a title this long, but it's such a shame. Plus size Misadventures in Love Volume 1, and I think, yeah, it was a publisher I've not picked up before, Harper Alley. I didn't really hear anyone say anything about this series, I don't think. It was weird. I don't think I liked it. I mean, with a title like that, yeah. So the premise is the character is incredibly unhappy, like mega seriously unhappy. There are definitely going to be some trigger warnings in some of the things I talk about for this series, so please do move on if you're concerned, or check out Storygraph to see some of the trigger warnings for the series. So it starts off with the character being incredibly unhappy in pretty much every part of their life, personally, at home, at work, and then they make an attempt, and the character then wakes up in hospital having survived, but they have forgotten everything. They don't remember anything about themselves at all. And when they look at themselves in the mirror, all they see is a beautiful, amazing person. They think they look amazing, they think they look the most stunning, and go on about this. I don't know how to describe it. They then get discharged and then start going to work, even though they like don't remember anything about going to work. They're kind of looking at some of their old notebooks trying to remember. I think they work in a marketing agency. And I think a bit of the problem I have with it is the way the character is talking about how amazing they look, they're fabulous, the best, super attractive, is it almost feels like it's kind of making fun of itself and using plus size to still be a joke. And it was just a bit weird to read because the character would be like, I look beautiful, and then the characters around them would like laugh. And I get like it is an interesting conversation to have, particularly in a manga format, but I just don't think it hit it well for me. My younger knight takes care of me in another world, and for everyone it was like, is this just beans? Is this just beans? Yes, it is just beans. Like, the only difference is instead of being an accountant, the character worked at a pharmaceutical company and is now working as an apothecarist. So if you take that bit from like Saint's magic power is omnipotent and like developing potions and stuff, and beans, it is exactly that. And like some of the points, the things that happen and things that are said are like so the same. It's crazy. It felt like I was reading a weird fanfiction knockoff of Bean Counter. Like, to start off, the guy is walking home from work and he happens upon a schoolgirl being pulled into a strange portal, which is exactly how Bean starts. Kondo is walking home from work and he hears a scream down an alley and there is a teenage girl being pulled into a portal, and he goes to help her and gets pulled through. Exactly the same. They arrive in this like hall where everyone is stood watching, including the super grumpy knight. The super grumpy knight is a bit more forceful than Aresh, but like still. Through means to try and help the character adapt to the world and magic, the knight kind of takes him under his wing by like, I think he like makes him drink some blood to be able to understand the language and what's going on, which then ultimately ties them together in some way that requires lots of special time later on. There are points where the female high schooler is like, I want to go home, talking to the office worker, confiding in him, and there's like, okay, let's try and figure out a way to go home. There's a moment towards the end as well where the office worker gets like banged on the head, and then someone comes running looking for the knight, and the knight does a "who did this to you" kind of moment here. Now, there are some bits that are a little different, and I won't go full into it because maybe if you're a Beans fan, you want to read some form of knockoff, you can do so and still have something new to see. I think I was just so shocked, like, how beanerific this was. It was like, it was like, but I think I almost did enjoy it for that reason. It was like a reskinned Beans, and I'm not mad. And apparently this is complete at 2 volumes, the second one coming out October, unlike Beans, which is still ongoing. I think 7 is coming out in Japan this year or shortly. So it is going to be much shorter than Beans at least, but like it is Beans. Massive Beans fan. I want to read more Beans. Try knockoff Beans. Choking on Love. This is a manga by the same person as Living Room Matsunaga-san. The theme of this is music. So the characters are in college, which I quite like. I don't feel like I read too many like pleasant romance series where they're in college. There's a lot of high school. And I think the office stuff is starting to grow a lot as well. I don't feel we get as much as at college. It is about an art student. The female character is an art student, and she bumps into this guy here who is part of a band, and they start spending some more time together. It is quite cute. I was a fan of Living Room Matsunaga-san. I quite like the art style as well, which always helps me enjoy a series. I don't think anything crazy, but it was, again, a fun romance read set in college. My Happy Marriage Volume 5. I think this was the first volume I read in July, so I'm really like, I was quickly flicking through like, what happened? I do like My Happy Marriage, but I do think it is a series that suffers with slow releases, and it's not like I don't understand why there are slow releases, but because of that, reading a volume every year or every year and a half, I feel like you lose the connection you have with the characters over a period that long. And I'm like, I should hold off, but I never hold off because I'm so excited to have another volume from the series. I want to read it, and then I end up in the same turmoil loop again. At least this one was a chunky one, and we had some drama. She kind of got like, she had to go stay with family because the guy lost a fight or something, and then she was like, no, I'm gonna go anyway. But they didn't want her to go. They're trying to teach her about her gift. She doesn't really understand it, and it could be quite powerful, and it can cause her pain if she doesn't know how to utilize it properly. So they're trying to teach her how to utilize it so she's not in pain. Yeah, it would be nice if they released more frequently. I don't think they will. Otherwise, it's the light novels is probably the way to go. Oh, there is the anime, I guess. Wrong Way to Use Healing Magic, Volume 1. This was bland. It was It was fine. I don't recommend. A group of students are accidentally isekai to another world through a portal, and the main character learns that he is capable of healing magic, which is incredibly rare and hard to use. And he ends up finding himself on the rescue team where all the healing is done. And it turns out the healing team is made up of like big thuggish men, because you need to be like big and aggressive to be able to get out into the battlefield to where you need to be able to heal people. So a lot of his training has been like improving stamina and strength and stuff like that. But otherwise it's fine. It's an interesting, again, wrong way to use healing magic, using it through brute force. But yeah, I'm picking up the rest in sale sections primarily, so a few pounds a volume is about what I'm going for, and I'm quite happy to pay that kind of price for it. My name is 0, 1 and 2, and I've gotten incredibly confused about the series because it doesn't end, but apparently it's complete at 2. So this is like a video game isekai, and this people are finding themselves being sent to this video game world while they're sleeping, and they're able to earn money in this video game world and bring it over to the real world. And there's abilities and stuff and teams and NPCs and quests. They do learn that it seems that dying in game might also die you in real life. So people get a bit more twitchy. The main character here is trying to earn enough money to keep his sister going. I think she's in a coma in a health facility. And he's trying to be able to earn enough money to pay for her medical bills. And yeah, it's just him joining like a guild and then like teaming together and fighting stuff, and there's some like mystery on how did she end up in the coma. Well, we know how she ended up in a coma, but like what caused the accident, the incident for that to happen, and what is this game and all that. But I'm a bit confused on if we'll ever get those answers. Is it complete? Is it not? I don't know. Honestly, what drew me to the series more than anything was the cover, and the back looks kind of like a PlayStation game box or just a video game box. I thought it was really quite neat and interesting to see like this much effort and detail put onto a manga cover for a series. Vibration function compatible. That was, to be honest, why I picked it up. Red River, the first Omni. Now, I was quite pleased with myself because I managed to read this in one session. I have been putting off reading Red River quite a lot because, especially hyped up series, when they've been hyped up to the amount series like this have been for me, I end up usually not enjoying them as much, and I must say I was pleasantly surprised. I'm not sure if enjoy is the right word. I kept reading. I found it really easy to just keep reading. Did I enjoy it? I don't know. It's a lot more darker and gorier than I expected, but maybe that's just an older shoujo kind of thing. A lot of the ones that I've read that are a bit older have had some more questionable, like, oof, kind of moments. People do keep saying to me that this is an isekai. I'm not sure it is. It's like a back in time isekai. Is it necessarily another world, or has she just traveled in time and space? Is it the same Earth? If it's not, or is there like plot going on later on I've gone to? Do not spoil for me yet. Something I was quite surprised about is that Red River doesn't have chapters. Like, I think there's a split when you get to the next volume. Yeah, you get these, but otherwise there's no chapters. I was like, not long before going to bed, I was like, okay, I'll get to the next chapter. What do you mean there's no chapters? It's quite over the top. It is, I do struggle with the chins. Pointy chins are something I always struggle with, genuinely. And I'm not sure how big a fan I am of her yet. I've liked a number of the other characters. I'm not sure about her just yet. But it has encouraged me to pick up more of the series. I am now back up to date with the Omnis. I had fallen behind. I now have the first 4, which is all that's out right now. What it means to be you. I really like this one. This is a body swap series between a husband and wife, and it kind of is helping them communicate. Basically, she isn't treated very well, and he is incredibly busy with work, and he married her as part of an arranged marriage to gain a noble title because she is nobility or princess. Yeah, princess. And at their wedding, the princess's brother announced that he was like dissolving the nobility, which meant that he'd paid all this money to marry her to not get a noble title because it was all dissolved, and he was a bit bitter and mad about it. She is not treated well by his family, and she never sees him because he's really busy with work, and it all gets too much, and she decides to just end it. And for whatever weird reason, when she does, they swap bodies. So begins the story of vaguely slightly-ish better communication and a realization of what the other half is going through, particularly the husband realizing what his wife is enduring and going through in terms of her illnesses, her sickness, and the way she's treated by his family. I am really, really, really enjoying it, and I look forward to the next one. Punch Drunk Love Volume 3, a chunky boy again. I love this series. I love both the characters, both the main lead characters are so adorable and cute and a bit shit at communicating, but they're getting a bit better at communicating, and it was just so adorable and lovely seeing them like continue to talk to each other. And then I think one of them they both meet the parents in this one, and it's like awkward and silly, and there's lots of smut, and they're like all communicating and talking and chatty during the smut, and it's just so cute, and I love it so much. Oh, I would recommend. Full of smut, plastic wrapped, one of my favourites. Tale as Old as Time, Twisted Tales, Beauty and the Beast Volume 2. This completes the series. This was very kindly sent to me from Panini Comics, who are now printing, they're doing most of the Disney series from what I can tell. and they're doing Twisted Tales, and I love Twisted Tales. If you don't know Twisted Tales, it is a what if series of books around Disney movies. So the what if for this is, what if Belle's mother was the one that cursed the beast? And we get some like really nice backstory around the mother, around the father, what led to what happened, why did she curse the beast, what's going on, and yeah, this was a really fun read. I am a massive Beauty and the Beast fan. I really like the story. I like the library, unsurprisingly. So it was really nice to read the Twisted Tales manga version. I didn't realize there was a manga version for a long time. I think it was until Panini had already brought it out. I have some of the novels from the Twisted Tales series, like the books with words and stuff. I have about 5 or 6 of them, and there's a good dozen or so. I understand there is at least one more, and there might be a couple of graphic novels, so I am excited for more Disney princess stuff. Raw, A Star in the Abyss, Volume 1. This was quite sad. About a girl who has grown up with her family, and through a series of bad things happening, ends up, spoilers, this is all spoilers, remember, spoilers, skip ahead if you don't want spoilers. She ends up losing her family and having to leave the little island she grew up on to go live with someone else who is claiming to be her mother. And she's kind of treated terribly. Her new sister hates her. She makes friends with the brother who is quite sick and can't leave the house really at all. But yeah, it's not a jolly read. But when she was a child on this island, she was in a TV show or a movie, and she had to act, and she was like a 5 or a 6-year-old, and everyone was really impressed at how emotive she was with her acting ability, to the point that it is kind of stuck with some people, especially people who'd worked on the movie all these years. And now that she's somewhere on the mainland, I can't remember where they moved to, I'm gonna guess Tokyo, but I don't know. And she's struggling, having grown up, she's now in her teens, and she's not treated well, and she just wants to escape. And we're kind of following that story, and it's suggested that she might be found by someone who'd worked with her when she acted as a child, and I assume that's where the plot is going to head next. She's going to become some form of actress. I think I liked it. I think I will keep reading, but it isn't the jolliest of reads. Catman, and this is a one-shot. It is quite an interesting one-shot. I don't think I've read much like this. So in this world, you have humans, but you also have people who are part cat or anthropomorphic cats, like this character here. You have a bunch on the back as well, and often they end up being models or used in advertisements, promotions, because people love cats and want to look at cats. But not all cats want to be treated in that way. Some cats want to be able to just live regular lives and write books or do regular professions, and it shouldn't be tied to them being a cat. They shouldn't need to just fulfill roles and professions that humans want them to do. And there's a whole bit early on where this character is talking to this person, and she touches his tail, and he is incredibly upset about it because he didn't consent. He reports it, she gets into a lot of trouble for it. Overall, it feels like it reads is one big massive metaphor for discussing consent, minorities, people's places, what is someone deserving to do, what is the person's role? Is it dictated by what they are, and other people determine their place in society? It was a weirdly deep story for a cat series. I definitely did not expect it or know going in, so give that a thought before you go in. Also, again, I'd recommend looking at some reviews on, say, Storygraph or somewhere else before deciding if you want to give it a go yourself. I was going to show you my cat, but she's looking a butt. I'll Forget You, starting today, Senpai Volume 1. I think this is completed 2 volumes. This is not a long series. So I thought initially this was a steamship series, and I was a bit confused when it turned up, and it's not. It wasn't plastic wrapped either. So it's about a character who has a massive crush on their senpai at school. They confess, the senpai senpai kind of was like, yeah, sure, let's try dating, and then like ends it pretty quick without giving too many more spoilers. And it very much sits with the female character for many years, and she is like trying to get over him and try to start dating properly. So she reaches out to a dating help organization agency where they'll like try and pair her up with people and set up dates, and yeah. And it turns out the guy who works at the agency and is helping her set up her dates is the senpai from the past. And that's basically the plot. He doesn't realize it's her for the very long time. I think he does by the end of volume 1 if I remember rightly. She realizes and tries to like just not think about it while going on some other dates. Fortunately, they do start to like kind of start to like each other in the time they spend at the agency, but it's very much against the rules. You can't do that, you shouldn't be doing that, you shouldn't date your clients, and yeah, lots of hoo-ha. But it's completed 2. It was fine. Fine. I'll get the second one, but it was fine. My Girlfriend's Not Here Today, volume 4. I think this one was plastic wrapped. I think so. In this volume, it all comes out that the cheating has occurred. The girlfriend finds out. Oh gosh, it was so messy. It was so messy. Like, it comes out, they're talking to her about it, and like the one that cheated, this one blames the girlfriend because she's not been around, she's been lonely, and then yeah. Anywho, I look forward to volume 5. It's so messy. It's such a hard series to recommend, but I'm enjoying it for the mess. I don't advocate, I don't condone, I dislike most of the characters, but the art style is so painfully pretty. So painfully pretty. But I'm trying to find a page which is pretty without like spoiling. There's a lot of people crying in this volume. There is a lot of crying. I won't talk about exactly what happens or the girlfriend decides to do, but yeah, damn. Okay, the last series I have to talk about for this video is The Fragrant Flower Blooms with Dignity 1-6. Now, I think, was it Anime Expo? There was an anime convention of some sort, and Kodansha were doing a load of promo for Fragrant Flower and Windbreaker. And because there was so much promo and so much excitement, I really wanted to try and read them to finally, like I'm gonna pick these, I'm gonna read them. I didn't get around to Windbreaker, but I did read all the volumes I had of Fragrant Flower, which was 1-6. I have since picked up 7 and 8, but I've not read them yet. I mean, I picked up volume 8 yesterday. That's how recent I picked it up. I really like this. This is so lovely. It is such just a pleasant high school romance series, and I personally think 6 volumes was absolutely perfect for reading it in one go from the start. So again, there's going to be spoilers, By the end of volume 5, I believe we get like a proper confession, and then volume 6 they go on their first date. So I feel like I've managed to see all the nice build up, the confession, the date, and now I can see what else is going to happen. It was just such a nice like series of events to be able to read in one sitting, basically. But I read it over a couple of days, but continuously. Our male lead works in a bakery, and our female lead frequents the bakery, and she loves what they put out. She loves their baked goods, and she ends up chatting to him. There are some other past experience stuff that I'll not get into too much detail yet, but yeah, they end up spending more time together, and then it turns out that they're from rival schools. Well, not rival schools, their schools are next to each other, and she's from like this fancy prestigious all-girls school, and he's from like the ew gross school next door. It's pretty much frowned upon for people from this school to associate people from this school, so it's kind of like a Romeo and Juliet kind of scenario. Kind of exasperated by the fact I believe she's like a scholarship student. There are concerns of she spends more time with unsavory folk, it might put her scholarship at jeopardy, but she's like, it's fine, he's a good person. And it's just so adorable and cute seeing the interactions of all the characters. I like all the characters, which is always really nice. So we have more on the covers. We have them too. Again, he's in his like chef uniform. There's the female lead with her friend from school who's a bit awkward at being open and honest about feelings. There's a group of the the male friends from male lead school, and then a bunch of them together, they go to the beach in this volume and spend time together and do like fireworks and stuff. It's so cute! And then how she dressed on their first date. I thought she had a haircut in this when I first saw the volume, but no, it's just a hair up. I love her hair. I love how her hair is drawn, so I was quite happy they left like her hair long and not as short. I understand why there's a bunch of hype for the series. Excellent. Highly recommend this one. Loved it. And with that, we are done with my July manga reading vlog. Thank you so much for sticking around. It again has taken me just over 2 hours to film, and I still have a cat behind me licking her bum. I need to break them down because I'm just so much better at talking about the series if I'm not doing it all in one go because I get tired. I'm quite tired and hungry now. Let me know in the comments what you thought, and do you enjoy these reading vlogs? I've quite enjoyed filming them and getting some like outlet on what I've been reading. I'm just really bad at putting them off to talk about because it just takes me so long. Do remember to like and subscribe and check out my channel memberships if you're interested in early access and some members only videos. Otherwise, I hope you have the most amazing day, and I'll see you next time. Bye!